for creating this. For creating what? I got myself lost. Somebody's just knocking my head and says, Natalia. There's always a C somewhere around.
It's a CD.
It's a CD. Yes.
So, today the visit is visiting Natalia Kozieł. How do you pronounce it?
I know, it's always tricky. It's tricky with this surname. And so Natalia Kozieł-Kalliomäki. I'm originally from Poland, but I'm living, working and having fun in Helsinki, Finland already for quite some time. I've been here living already over 10 years, like 12 to be exact.
So yeah, pretty Finnish at this point.
I would say so. You start feeling that this is really your place. You know, you can call it a home. Of course, you know, the beginnings are always tricky, and I wasn't really planning. This wasn't really never my plan to live in any other country than my home country. But I just came to, on the very last year of my studies at the Art Academy in Poland, I just decided that, wait a second, I still have this Erasmus exchange program that I can do. So I did use that on my very last year, and I came here to Finland. I got into the Kuvataide Academia. I got into the printmaking department, and then I got totally in love with this school and with everything around it. So I just decided that, okay, I just, you know, I can return to Poland, I can finish my diploma over there, I can close my master there, but I still need to come to this country to study a bit more. So that's the story. I came to study a year later after the graduation in Poland. I came to study on a full basis to make my second master over here in Helsinki.
And you did printmaking again or something else?
I did a printmaking. Actually, I really like to tell this story because
Me
I
too.
think it's really like that I was studying painting in Poland. So I was always considering myself as this, you know, very expressive and this kind of artist that work with the thick paints, and you're always dirty, and then you have this massive canvases and your whole body is working, and you have this like strokes and, you know, all these like brushes and this really this really expressive movement. But then just by the accident, when I came on the exchange studies, they got me into the printmaking department. And I was really, like, truly horrified. I was thinking, like, what is that? I'm a painter. I'm not really a printmaker. And back then in my head, I have very much like this clear set that the department is very much like defining what you need to do and, you know, what is your profile of the studies and so on. So I was really, truly like thinking that no. But then they calmed me down and they said that, Natalia, the departments in this school, they don't really tell. I mean, of course, they define something in a one way, but it's very free and open. So I decided, okay, I can still be a painter on the printmaking department. But then I got like really, I decided, I just discovered the printmaking as something totally new. And it was so strong that I decided that, okay, I really want to try that as a regular studies, as something to learn more about it. I started also to philosophize a bit what really printmaking is for me. So I found this kind of inside philosophy that the printmaking is some kind of a, you know, like the print is making, so like some kind of a machinery or like a production line where something is in the constant motion and movement. And then I found it, this old analog machineries. I started to work with film, so that became my printmaking medium.
How did you end up studying painting in the first place? Did you know you would be an artist?
Hey, actually,
all your life?
That's a really good question, because if I think of my artistic education, I started absolutely early. You know, it's been like, I was in the primary school and always my teachers were like, you know, saying that there is really something good of what I'm doing with my hands. And I started already that early, in that age, the art school. So I was in the art school gymnasium art school, and then also the high school had like the artistic profile. And then, so I was kind of like really, you know, I knew it that the next thing I'm going to do after this is the academy. I decided that that painting is definitely something that I want to go and study at the art academy in Gdańsk, and that was really mind-blowing time. It's been fantastic. So I thought that I'm a painter and I'm going to be a painter. I have never said goodbye to the painting. I think that I'm very much like, I'm just shifting between one and another. They are very much like also giving to each other.
Was your family supportive while you were still in high school and wanting to pursue this?
They were extremely supportive. Nobody ever has given me this bite of reality sandwich. You know, there has been always they were very much encouraging me in this, but I think at that time, they also didn't realize what that exactly means, you know. It's like you are enjoying that your kid is enjoying some kind of a world that it's finding himself. At the same time, I think that they weren't exactly sure how is my life going to look after this education is over. I've been, of course, hearing this as a side jokes that, whoa, you will be famous after, you know, everything is over. You know, when the life is over, then maybe some recognition will come. But, you know, it's always the story of the old big classics.
Where did that end up? What are you doing now?
I graduated Kuwataida Academia, so at that time it was already the University of the Arts in 2015 here in Helsinki. And ever since that, I've been just, you know, working as an independent artist. But of course, the beginnings are always tough. So I've been trying to connect very much my artistic projects with the side jobs on the short-term contracts, on this freelance contracts. But yeah, for the last 3-4 years, I've been working just here in my studio as an artist on a regular daily basis, and I'm really proud of that. So
you should. Yeah, that's lovely.
I'm really proud of that. So the space that we are today over here, that's my very own studio, which I'm also really proud about it, because I started with something super tiny. My space was like, I don't know, was 12 square meters with a super tiny small window. And I had so much stuff, so it was very cluttered and very dungy looking space. But now I have this place where I really like to call it, this is totally my working space. I'm coming over here to work, but I also come here, you know, when I have I can just sit here and read some stuff and, you know, just work on a computer or then also do a mess.
Yeah, I mean, work has many dimensions.
It does, definitely.
Are you working on some specific piece right now, or a theme, or like, what are you doing right now?
I very much work on the intersection of the expanded printmaking and the analog film. So this is the world where I'm at the moment very much moving around. Of course, I work with the big size canvases. I work with the small stamp size, you know, film frames. I do the big space installations, but I also work with the live cinema performances. There has been the art residencies that are already behind me, which were very much focusing around that medium. At the moment, I'm preparing for another one, which is coming in September. It's in Canada, in Toronto, at the Liaison of Independent Filmmakers.
Is it going to be physical installation you're bringing to Toronto?
There is, I have 3 months totally to work over there inside studio with the machinery which is not available for me in Finland. I'm just going over there with the project, so I will work with 16mm film. And I'm going over there also to work with the animation station, definitely that, and I'm going to just work on the material, which later on I will use as material for my upcoming installation.
How does this process go usually for you?
The things that are triggering me very much are, like the relation between the subject and the camera, the mesmerizing structures. I'm considering myself really as an abstract artist, and also I have a feeling like there's so much, the flat screens and the pictorial reality is like no longer enough for us. So I'm kind of very much working on building something where there can be some kind of collective experience. So I'm very much trying to create and build the material, which later on I will use for building the very kind of like this multi-sensory space installations.
Are there some specific themes that you revolve around?
It's always very open. I work very much, this kind of like this sensory systems. There is this lens, I always very much charge from what's around me, and then I'm just turning that into these abstract images. So I'm always working with some kind of weird, broken, mesmerizing, weird, multi-angled architecture. So that's always when these projects are ending. So maybe the architecture is some kind of a focal point. The thing that you see over here on this table is the 16mm film, and that's something that this is the material I've been using for my latest performance, which was also a finale of this 1-month residency at the Filmverkstaden lab in Vasa, here in Finland. And the performance has been called Pieces That Matter. So basically this film, it's very much based kind of like I've been animating there some random pieces of paper. I just recorded them on the film, and then I use them again. I also have this huge fixation for Japanese paper. I use it a lot. I think I will never just unfix myself from it. I use it a lot. This is the very thin and very strong and durable this Japanese kozo paper. I work very much with the collage, something that maybe I didn't mention so much in our discussion, but the collage is very much the thing which binds all this thing that I do. So even when there is the spatial installation, or when there is a performance, this live cinema performance, or when there is the actual prints or the graphics that I do on canvas, the collage is something that binds them, because everything is always like cutting, pasting, finding the right elements, like putting them together and creating some kind of a conversation between these elements. First I do print on the Japanese paper, and then I just find the elements that are the most interesting, and then I start like cutting them and pasting and mounting it on the canvas. Things are really somehow in the studio when they have the place. These big scissors that you see them on the wall over there. My last exhibition has been about my grandfather, who was a tailor. So these big scissors that you see on the wall, they are actually from him, almost 100 years old, and still they are perfect.
You mentioned something about building these community like installations, something that people can perceive a bit like off screen but like together. How important is a community for you?
It's very important for me. After this years of living over here in Finland, I can definitely tell that I'm inside this community. I loved what's growing around us. And I also like to, be involved in kind of gathering and creating new situations or kind of interactive momentums where people can come in and they can also be part of it. So yeah. In the place where we are over here, in the Roihupelto, I would definitely call it a nice artistic community. I think there is a very there's a lot of different artists working over here in the building where we are right now. We have a fantastic artist working with different mediums. There is dancers, there is photographers, there is musicians. There is also guys working with sculpture and painters, and also me.
Do you have some routines of how the process goes otherwise?
You know, I don't know if this is, well, I definitely have like the routine of working is like I'm here like every day from Monday to Friday, sometimes over the weekends also, because if you love so much the space, it's so hard to get yourself out from here. Just by working with different mediums, that sometimes I work with the canvases, but sometimes I'm with the film, and sometimes, you know, we're working on the live cinema performances and stuff. Then, you know, the fact that I can jump very much from one to another, that's something that I would call it's a nice flow of the kind of a routine that I like. That it's not I don't have to like offer a full like complete total attention lasting for a long time into the only one thing, but I can very much, you know, move from one to another, and that I like very much. But then also yeah, maybe one of the routine in my process is that before I start, I have to absolutely clean the whole space. That's something where I cannot start when, you know, when things are somehow opened in the middle, when something is disturbing me. There has to be a total silence around me, and then I can start. And just because I also collect a lot of things, I have a lot of film machinery, but then I also have, you know, paints, and then I also have clean papers and stuff. There is like, I have this mania of collecting things, because once you get to your own studio, then you realize like, okay, well, maybe this I can use at some point. So you're not so easy with throwing the elements out, the things, but everything is seemingly usable. So then I also
it's very easy also to collect things here.
Super easy. And one of the routine that I have is that, you know, I very much keep the things in the boxes. I very much like, I'm always archiving these things that I'm collecting. So I have really, my things are, I would consider them like pretty much in order.
Obviously the studio is very important to you. Mm-hmm. But have you ever been without one? Like, can you work without a studio?
I definitely can't work without the studio. I think, of course, as soon as I graduated the art academy, then that was the moment that it wasn't like immediately the space was just waiting for me. So there was a small, I don't know, lasting probably few months, the moment where I really had no clue where is my studio going to be. That was before getting that small studio in Vallila.
How many studios have you had?
How many I had, all in all? No, I didn't have many. That's my second studio, and I really hope that.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I didn't have many. You know, there is also something like that. That when you finally settle yourself down, and you make the space that really works for you, and then you know it's you've been there already in a certain time, and some years has passed, and you kind of already learned how to work in that space, then you don't really want to move it, you know. At this moment, I think this is what works the best for me. So I want to stay here.
I hope you do. So have you shared the studio with other people? How was the previous one you had?
No. I was not sharing the studio. I was actually always maybe in a little bit more, even the super tiny and small studio that was always mine. And this is the second studio, and it's also just for my own use. I never had to share the studio, and I really, I really consider that as a big privilege.
Do you store all your art here?
Yes, I managed to like divide the space so that I can still storage the things that I'm doing in my studio, and I don't need to use any extra space for that. But from year to year, I see that the space is getting more tight.
It's shrinking somehow.
It's somehow shrinking. I don't know why, but yeah.
How big is this space actually? We didn't mention that.
Yeah, we didn't mention that. It's you know, I was thinking that it's 27 square meters, but then I really checked my.
I think it's larger than that.
It's larger because then I checked double checked my my agreement, and it's 32. So it's slightly bigger, but also the fact that it's a square. You know, when I entered the house, the walls weren't yet here. So I was double, like I was even more privileged that I could choose where exactly the wall will be put it. So I could choose how big this space actually will be.
Do you go to exhibitions and galleries and stuff?
Do I go? Of course I go. I definitely do go, and this is, I think, part of the system. You know, you just. I very much like what Helsinki has to offer and how much you can really go around and check. But also the fact that I'm coming. You know, I have two legs. So one leg is in Poland and one leg is here in Helsinki, and I can always like jump, you know, between these countries and also charge what's going on in there.
What places do you like here in Helsinki?
You know, I like to go very much to Taidehalli. I like to go to around the galleries. I like, of course, you know, when there is a big changes in Kiasma and the Amos Rex, and yeah, there is places to go. The Design Museum and Siner Prokov. Yeah, there's things to go around.
You said also that somehow the environment around you is affecting how you work and all that. What are some of your favorite places, like of inspiration?
When I come to Finland, each time I feel like, okay, this is the place where you can rest. You know, you can take a deep breath and you can always jump, you know, the ongoing, never-ending forests, which are always around you. That's something that's I think that forests are really helping me to make up my mind a little bit more. I really love the lonely walks in the forests, and you know, there's always a contact with you can always end up on the shore somewhere looking at the sea over here, even though it's a city, but there's always a sea somewhere around.
It's a city.
It's a city.
Yes. Can you think of some artists that have somehow influenced your work or that you liked their work?
Well, you know, speaking about that, that's always like, it's changing so much. And also the fact that I've been, let's say, like touching this art things from the very early age. So I also see how much this, you know, inspiration.
Maybe
and
lately.
How much,
okay, let's put it that way.
how
Lately.
much these things has been changing. You know, as a young one, I would just, you know, look at these big classics of René Magritte and Pablo Picasso, his blue period and that kind of stuff. But you know, I've been like for a long time, I've been like quite enchanted by this Ethiopian American artist Juliet Meredu. She's doing like this very big, massive, abstract landscapes. They are based on the lightscape, but also her working ethics. I like it very much because she was through that talking about this social, political issues. But then also for a long time I've been like, you know, the Polish school of posters, this 50s, 80s time, you know, so that's been very much going on in my head, these very vibrant colors of this poster schools. Yeah, I would say that, of course, quite soon from that, you know, I went into the early film, experimental film and the film avant-garde. So I've been like always inspired by Dziga Vertov and his Man with the Movie Camera, 1929. And then, you know, the Man Ray, Walter Ruttmann. What else would there be? Of course, the Eino Rutsalo, the Finnish guy, experimental filmmaker. The Polish Julian Antonisz, that's also a big inspiration of mine. But then also the younger generation, like Len Lai and then the Bill Morrison. So that's something what's, you know, the huge fixation is still there. But then I also charge, and I really get a lot of stimulation from the big American musicals. You know, I love them. I love them so much. I could, of course, throw to that basket, you know, like the West Side Story or The Sound of Music. But I think I'm talking a little bit more about these early birds where you have these gold diggers of 1933 or the 42nd Street, and you have this massive, amount of dancers, this
Those are just
choreographies.
insane.
They're fantastic. They are fantastic. I've been always into this low-tech stuff that has been very much inspiring me. The early cinema, that's something where I find a lot of things that really triggers me. But then also, I like very much, this combo of artists, scientists, what's new that the world can offer. So there is, I could maybe mention some, from the Polish background. There is this Karolina Halatek, which is really great artist. She works like with light as a central medium. She's using that as very much, and then she's building this great, like this enigmatic space, site-specific installations where the light is really the source of pretty much everything. And then there's this Japanese guy, Yuri Suzuki, which is like a sound designer, and he builds like the sound objects and he inserts them in the space. So there is a lot from inspiration.
Yeah.
But that is also changing very much. Now it's that, but then
Of course, it
there
depends.
is a lot.
Yeah. By the way, yes, the visit now has a website. I'm happy to share, thevisitpodcast.com, and then there is a page for these recommendations that I ask everybody about. Yes, so there you can see what each of my guests have been recommending.
Great.
So
I will be happy
your
to
names
recommend.
are going there also.
Definitely.
Yes. Been looking for a while how to share this information, because for me it's very valuable. I think that
I think
would
so.
be
I
good
think
for others as well.
Totally. I will be definitely checking what the other has there to offer.
Yeah, of course one way is to just listen to other episodes, but a faster way is to just go to the website. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, well, I think we've kind of gone through all that I had in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Would there be anything that you would like to add?
You had in your question, there was a question about if I can suggest some inspirations or kind of like things that could be, which I like it very much. And then I started also to like roll it in my head and think like, what is it? Is it a book? But I've been like lately reading so much this methodological books, so, about the photography and film and color, so maybe not that much. But then I was thinking more of for example, my latest discovery, which I can suggest that go and visit, is this like textile mixologist, which is really great. You can get like a lot from that, for if you're into the patterns, colors, structures.
So that's a book.
It's not a book. It's a profile on of course, we are inside the Instagram world. So this is the profile on Instagram, which I really highly suggest to go and visit. It's called Textile Mixologist, and the colors are amazing, and the structures are amazing, and the pictures are great. So go and visit that. But then also, I've been like lately, for the last time, like playing so much in my studio, the Henry Mancini song, this Lyon called, which I really highly recommend, like for just, grabbing the piece
I don't know.
of a
I'm
feeling.
not sure if I know that song.
Yeah, it has this certain mood. And then there's also what I can suggest is this, because that's also my latest discovery, is this Polish like a music company called Tak Picture, and it's run by the Wacław Zimpel from Warsaw, and his latest album, this Breath of Brahma, really go to the this camp band and then Bandcamp. and then listen.
We'll do.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for having me today.
thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. Thanks for
nice
it's
and
fantastic. And yeah, it's always, you know, it's always like, oh, you're going to talk about me.
Yeah.
So sorry you've been like if it has been unorganized and a bit like
I think it's been
messy.
great. Come on, no, it's perfect.
Great, fantastic, good to talk to you.
Yeah, and good luck with the work and the residency.
Thanks a lot.